everyone. Wonderful day. Welcome back to the facts. Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. Until 1984, women in Liechtenstein were not allowed to vote. Out of 4,702 men who voted, 2,370 of them voted for women to have the right to vote, which came out to 51.3%. There's a species of fungus that looks like a sponge and produces fruit bodies that have a musky odor. Musky fruit. In 2011, it was described as new to science, and the scientific name for it was Spongiforma squarepantsii. In case you didn't catch that, they named it after SpongeBob. According to the Colorado Department of Transportation, the construction of wildlife bridges and underpasses have significantly reduced animal-related car crashes by up to 90% since 2006. One of the first fake designer logos in history came from the Viking period. Ulfberht swords were made from an extremely strong type of steel called crucible. Each sword would have had the name Ulfberht etched into them, but some people would etch the name into regular swords and sell them for high prices. At San Diego Comic-Con in 2014, America's Top Model winner Adrienne Curry dressed up as Catwoman and fought off an attacker with her bullwhip who was assaulting her friend. Gustav Kenneth is the oldest living man in the world, originally born in Germany on October 15, 1905. He was 12 years old when World War I occurred, 40 years old by the end of World War II, and is still alive today at 113 years old. All of the sweaters that Mr. Rogers wore during Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood were knitted by his mother. At the height of the show's popularity in '85, 8% of US households watched the program. According to a 2009 study by the American Chemical Society, 90% of all US $1 bills have traces of cocaine on them. The United States is the country with the highest percentage of contaminated bills, with Canada close behind at 85%. China has the lowest with only 12%. The natural red dye that's used in a lot of our foods used to be made from thousands of crushed bodies of little bugs called cochineal insects. Farmers in Central and South America harvested and smashed these bugs together to make a living for themselves. The US state that has the youngest possible age for parental consent to marry is Massachusetts, with boys being able to marry at 14 and girls at 12 years old. New Hampshire's youngest age to marry with parental consent is also 14 years old for boys, but 13 for girls. When former WWE wrestler Chris Masters' mom was stuck in a burning house, he uprooted a 3-meter tall tree from the ground so that he and police could break a window that it was blocking to get her out. According to US Census data in the Simmons National Consumer Survey, 3.42 million Americans have eaten 6 jars of pickles or more in 2018. The popular children's cartoon Arthur is still airing new episodes to this day and is in its 21st season. It's the second longest running animated series in the United States behind The Simpsons. Olympic sprinter Usain Bolt's resting heart rate is 33 beats per minute. For comparison, the average American's is between 60 and 100 beats per minute, according to the National Health Institute. Lyricist Sammy Cahn and Broadway songwriter Jewel Stein wrote the popular holiday song Let It Snow on the hottest day of the year in 1945. The song also has no mention of Christmas. In 2010, the remains of a widow named Julia Martha Thomas were found in the backyard of famous naturalist Sir David Attenborough's house. It was discovered that she was killed by her maid, who buried her there in 1879. There are hundreds of cities in China that are fully modernized with buildings, houses, skyscrapers, and art. However, there are no people living in them. These cities were built for up to 300 million of its citizens so that they could move from rural areas and into urban locations. The clock on most microwaves uses more power throughout its lifetime than it does for actually cooking food. This means that if you want a microwave to cost the least amount of money, then only turn it on when you need to use it for heating food instead of using the clock. Pedro Lascurain served as the 34th president of Mexico for less than an hour before he was overthrown by General Victoriano Huerta. This is known as the shortest presidency in the history of the world. The famous Egyptian ruler Cleopatra was not actually Egyptian. She came from a line of Greek Macedonians who descended from Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great's lieutenants. In 2015, a pigeon in India was arrested after it was accused of being a Pakistani spy. A 14-year-old boy found the bird and gave it straight to the police. It was even kept in custody and x-rayed. The country of Ecuador changed its currency to the US dollar in the year 2000. A toilet is also called the head because they were located on the bow or front of sailing ships that carry the odor away. Instead of thinking that the odor would travel to the back, the wind that pushed the ship forward would also carry the smell with it. Hallmark Channel Christmas movies are usually filmed in the summer. Because of this, there's hardly any snow in the movies because it's fake and would cost more money to produce. Also, the budget for these Christmas movies are also around $2 million, which is about the cost of most television show episodes. According to the American Journal of Emergency Medicine, coconut water can be used as a substitute for blood plasma in an emergency. The short-term use of coconut in an IV hydration fluid drip was first used on a patient in '99 and worked when nothing else was available. US President Ronald Reagan had a White House chief of staff named Donald Reagan during his presidency. He also became the CEO of Merrill Lynch and Company in 1971 when the company went public. The Disney movie Lilo and Stitch originally had an airplane crash scene, but after the September 11th attacks in 2001, it was cut from the film and changed to an alien ship crashing. The scene went from a plane crashing into buildings to being a spaceship that crashed into mountains. On November 18, 1977, the first interracial kiss that was televised between two men involved Bill Murray and the legendary NFL running back Walter Payton on Saturday Night Live. The Mars rover named Spirit lasted 21.6 times longer on the planet than what NASA initially expected. It was supposed to last only about 92 Earth days, but instead lasted 2,269 Earth days. US Civil War veteran James Miller was shot in the head at the Battle of Chickamauga in 1863. But not only did he survive, but he lived with the open wound in his head until his 70s when he finally passed away. Pieces of the bullet would occasionally fall out and he would pass out for several hours after. Did they not have hospitals back then? In Sebastopol, California, it's a misdemeanor to have or use a nuclear weapon. It's punishable for up to 6 months in jail or a $500 fine or both. Really, to use a nuke? 6 months in jail? Okay, what's wrong with this world? Famous composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart once composed an overture in 3 hours the night before a premiere. He was also hungover from being out drinking earlier in the night. The boa constrictor is the only living animal that's English name is identical to its scientific name. Additionally, when these snakes begin their shed cycle, their eyes turn a blue or opaque color. There are somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 languages on planet Earth. Also, according to researchers at the University of Lyon, they determined that the language with the best information rate was English. French was close behind and Spanish was third. According to The Atlantic, a study in 1998 found that 54.4% of people in Iceland believe in elves. Its citizens have protested the construction of new roads because they believe it would disturb these elves. According to Goldman Sachs, the number of registered pets in Japan outnumbers the amount of children under 15 years old. There are 21.3 million pets compared to 16.5 million children under 15. The reason why apples float is because they are made of 25% air. There are also about 10,000 different varieties of apples. Police horses are extensively trained to not be startled by loud noises such as fireworks, screaming mobs, or firing guns. It's also encouraged to have any domesticated horse go through this training in order for it to be easier to ride and care for. Legendary NFL coach Mike Ditka was the first tight end ever to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was ranked number 90 on the Sporting News 100 Greatest Football Players of All Time in '99. There are hundreds of man-made objects that are left on the surface of the moon. Among these items are a bag of urine, a monumental plaque, shovels, and over 70 vehicles. If you added up all these objects, it would come out to 400,000 pounds of material that was made by us. The Oakland Alameda County Coliseum is the last remaining NFL and MLB shared coliseum in use. It hosts the Oakland Raiders and the Oakland Athletics. However, this is set to end in 2019 when the Oakland Raiders move to Las Vegas, effectively eliminating combined coliseums. The first woman to serve in the United States Senate was Rebecca Latimer Felton on November 21st, 1922. However, she served for only 24 hours. She was also the oldest senator to be sworn in at 87 years old. She passed away in 1930 at the age of 94 in Atlanta, Georgia. The Keep Calm and Carry On slogan was a motivational poster that the British made in 1939. The goal of this slogan was intended to raise the morale of the public during World War II. Even though 2.45 million copies were made, the posters were rarely displayed in public and mostly forgotten about until one was found in the year 2000. Until 2009, the only three religions you could put on an Egyptian identification card were Muslim, Christian, and Jewish. Now, people from other religions are allowed to simply put a dash in that part of their identification card if they do not practice those three specific religions. In particular, the Baha'i religion, as well as others, are still not recognized by the Egyptian government. The number 666 in China does not mean anything satanic. It actually means smooth or skilled. In a live stream of the popular game League of Legends, Chinese viewers would comment the number 6 over and over again, which to them is the same as giving a round of applause to the gamers. Epona is a Celtic goddess from the Gallo-Roman religion, who is the protector of horses, donkeys, mules, and ponies. And if you've ever played Legend of Zelda, now you know why that horse is named that way. In order to pay for her wedding dress in 1947, Queen Elizabeth had to save up clothing ration coupons after World War II devastated the country economically. It also took 350 women 2 months to make the dress. Ella Harper was a girl who was born with an unusual condition where her knees would bend backwards. She preferred to walk on all fours and was known as the Camel Girl. She was later paid $200 a week to perform in the circus. Thank you guys for watching, and if you'd like to see some more, click the elements on the screen right now. You can watch my most recent video, or you can check out more 50 amazing facts, completely up to you. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. And by the way, check out Fact Maniac in the description. Lots of daily amazing facts for you. Just saying. Take your time, check it out. Okay, I'll see you then.